we will write history for India.
We've got a large player like Jio entering the market with a large presence on the ground already in terms of a huge asset base, and it's bound to be disruptive. So I think for all of us incumbents, it's going to be a tough 2 years.
Reliance is a very serious and formidable company, and they will make a space for themselves, but equally we will be fighting for that space as well.
All voice calls for Jio customers will be absolutely free. Era of paying for voice calls is ending.
Hello and welcome to this special episode on the big Reliance Jio Bonanza. I am Gauri Dwivedi. The top story of the day really is Mukesh Ambani's big return to telecom, and in fact that has rattled the industry with his disruptive plan to offer free voice calls, SMS and roaming, and data tariff capped at just 50 rupees per GB. Mukesh Ambani hopes to garner as much as 100 million customers in a record time. But before that, Reliance Jio's mega trial is set to get even bigger in a move that may escalate the combat with the incumbents. Mukesh Ambani will soon open unfettered access to SIM cards starting Monday, even though the commercial launch is likely only by the end of this year. Let's first listen in to the man of the moment.
Starting coming Monday, the 5th of September 2016, Jio's data, voice, video and the full bouquet of Jio's application and content will be available for everyone, absolutely free, till 31st December 2016. We Indians have come to appreciate and applaud Data-Giri. Now, every Indian can do Data-Giri, which is an opportunity. This Data-Giri is an opportunity for every Indian to do unlimited good things with unlimited data. Customers should pay for only one service, either voice or data, not both. World over, operators charge only for data, while voice and messaging are essentially free. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I have great pleasure in announcing a revolutionary concept for the Indian market. All voice calls for Jio customers will be absolutely free. The era of paying for voice calls is ending. Jio will usher India into this new era. No Jio customer will ever pay for voice calls again across India to any network. And in the spirit of One India, roaming charges will also be zero across India. Incumbent operators have significant advantages over new entrants, since incumbents have well-established networks and existing customers. Therefore, the onus is rightly on the incumbent operators not to misuse their market power by creating unfair hurdles when it comes to providing point of interconnect between their network and Jio's network. Such hurdles will serve only to create a poor experience for Jio customers who are trying to make calls to the incumbent operator's network.
To take this story forward, we have an eminent panel of experts, and joining me on the show are Romal Shetty, Head of Telecom at KPMG, TV Ramachandran, who understands telecom very well. He's, of course, the president of the Broadband India Forum as well, and an independent telecom consultant, and also Nitin Soni, Director of Director Asian Corporates from Fitch Ratings. Gentlemen, many thanks for taking out the time for joining us on this special show. My first question to you really is, you heard Mukesh Ambani talk about the disruptive offers that are really being offered by Rel Jio. But if one were to really, break it down threadbare, just to take the 149 plan, it's 300 MB is what the plan offers. And if you break it down, it's actually 450 rupees for 1.2 GB. So my question really is to Nitin Soni, is this really as disruptive as it's really being made to look like?
Yeah, thanks for the show. So we believe that there are two plans, 149 rupees plan which gives 300 MB and the 499 plan which gives 4 GB is a bit disruptive. It's about 20-25% cheaper than what incumbents are offering right now. But what I'm not clear is that there are no plans between the 300 MB consumption and the 4 GB consumption. So there must be, maybe in future they will come out with some top up with 1 GB kind of data consumption, but they haven't disclosed it, or it's not very clear whether how they calculate this 50 rupees per GB kind of a pricing as Mr. Ambani announced in its speech. But as if with these two the tariff plans, the 149 one is really targeted at the low data users which consumes only 300 MB and like to do unlimited calling, while the 499 plan is actually cheaper what the incumbents right now offer, because the data allocation of 4 GB is much higher. Remember, Bharti charges about 259 rupees per GB for data allocation if you want to top up. So it's cheaper by 20-25%. And we believe that, maybe the incumbents would like to retaliate by offering maybe slightly cheaper services as we go along.
I will come to what the incumbents will do in just a bit. But Romal Shetty, do you want to comment on this? That, if you really look at the entry level plans, that 149 rupee plan, and if you do a 1 GB top up, which is about 50 rupees, you reach close to what the blended ARPU of Bharti is, which is 200 rupees. So at some level, when you really read the fine print, it's not as disruptive as we really think it's going to be. Romal Shetty, you want to comment on this? Okay, we'll try and get Romal Shetty back. But Mr. Ramachandran, can you take that question as to, it's if you read between the lines, if you read the fine print, really, it's not as disruptive. The offers are not so out of the ordinary for us or for the incumbents to really worry at this stage.
I would agree with you, Gauri. In fact, I think much of this is on expected lines as far as I personally was expecting. It's gone, yes, a little beyond the expectation limit. There are some very nice freebies added, like for students, etc. And like just now pointed out, Benizin, the data thing has been cut significantly. I think their strategy is fairly clear. The idea is to drive people to using more of data and give voice free and make the ARPU on data. I think the ARPU will be protected. I don't think it's going to be all that low. The drive is to pick up data more and more, and soon you'll see a consolidation of the data tariff. So ultimately it will be good for the data players, and that's where they are putting the pressure on incumbents who are not already fully on data. And my personal belief, Gauri, is this is good for competition. I think Jio is coming in this manner with such an awesome pack of announcements. May not be completely disruptive, but definitely very good for driving India towards Data India, Digital India. I think that is going to spur competition, and I have seen mobile the last 22 years in this country. Mobile was 20 years ago what broadband is today, at almost zero level. And this is going to drive the usage towards broadband, take up of broadband internet, which we desperately need, and the players, existing players, are big enough players to take up that challenge. I think we are going to have very healthy, good competition, and there would be a consolidation of the market, a shakeout of the smaller players, which is needed because this market is still too fragmented. We want healthy, strong players so that the customers benefit and the industry grows well. That's my point of view. On the whole, I see it as a good thing what has been announced today. I welcome it, and I think it's good for broadband India.
You welcome it, fair enough. It's good for consumers like you and me and for broadband penetration. But Nitin Soni, when you talk about a large amount of data packs being given at throwaway prices, one also needs to put it into context that how many 4G data users actually exist in India. To that extent, do you think it's possible for the incumbents to actually, come out with the equally good packs as far as data is concerned, maybe even make 4G free for the customers that exist, maybe take pressure on margins, but ensure that market share retains? Nitin Soni?
Yeah, sure. See, I think the subscribers who have 4G handset right now in the market are less than 5%. And there will be a leapfrog straight away to 4G as Jio enters the market. I don't think the people will not be using so much of 3G data as Bharti also upgrades most of its network in the cities on 4G and LTE services. So people will start using more and more data on the 4G LTE services as Jio enters its market with large bucket plans with 4 GB kind of data allocation given to them for 500 rupees. So the key is really how they monetize it at these prices or not. And as one of the gentlemen said, they are really driving up the data usage by the subscribers, and that's the key of their strategy. They want people to use more and more data consumption every month. If you look at the last quarter's average data usage per user for Bharti was still under 1 GB. So the data consumption is still in a very nascent stage right now. So an exponential data growth is going to come in the next, in the short term it will grow significantly, but over the medium to longer term we'll face and we'll realize that the data will continue to grow very strongly.
The line with Romal Shetty has been fixed. He's back with us. Romal, we are talking about how data is still at a nascent stage. In terms of how the incumbents will react, do you expect that going forward, massive price cuts could take place from the incumbent side as well? Maybe bring down voice tariffs very, very low and probably, focus more on the data business going forward?
So two things. One, I think fundamentally, yes, from a predominantly voice-led business model, I think it will move towards a more data-led business model. So I think there's no doubt about that. I think there will be more bundling of offerings, whether it is a voice data device or whether it is in terms of, for example, where they provide broadband services, they provide cable TV and all of that. So I think there'll be a lot more bundling of those kind of offerings. I don't necessarily would say that the prices would just be brought down straight to the level it is today. I mean, it's not necessarily only just taking the data plans out. I think there will be a voice play as well. But yes, if at a broad level will the data prices come down, that there is no doubt about that. That was going to happen.
Okay. In fact, Kunal Bajaj, who tracks telecom very closely, also joins in on the show. Kunal, many thanks for being part of this special discussion. Do you expect incumbents to also participate or probably, start a price war going forward in the voice business? Because, whatever said and done, 23% of Bharti's revenues come from data, but the remaining 77% comes from voice. They cannot afford to let go of that large chunk of their revenue. So maybe, margin pressure is okay with them, but letting go of that entire chunk of business is not. So do you expect price cuts in the voice business going forward?
Hi Nantara, good evening. I think it's, you hit the nail on the head that the most disruptive thing which we've seen today is actually the unlimited voice piece. There's a lot of talk around data prices having come down, but I think you're right that at 150 rupee pack, someone can basically come onto the Jio network and use voice on an unlimited basis. Now, I think one of the saving graces here is that Jio decided that it's going to do a 150 rupee entry pack rather than doing sachet packs at 20 rupees, 50 rupees or something like that. And 150 rupees is still sufficiently at or above the overall national ARPU that it's not a no-brainer for everybody. So if you are indeed spending more than 150 rupees today, then yes, it makes sense if you have a 4G phone or if you're willing to pay the entry price to upgrade to a 4G phone to look at that from an unlimited voice perspective. So that's certainly going to be quite disruptive, and the operators are going to have to figure out, the incumbents that is, how they want to compete against that. But knowing that at least we're still at a price point which is above national ARPU, maybe there will be some way for them to restructure their current packs and offerings as well so that they maintain it. It's not that the current operators don't have unlimited voice, it's just that it's a lot more expensive today.
Kunal, this is Gauri. Let me just ask you about the overall industry composition. 65% of the voice does come from the big three players, but there is a large chunk of 35% of the revenues that come from the smaller players, which is fragmented. Do you think that is a pie, that is a market that will now straight away drift to Reliance Jio going forward, and it will have 35% market share immediately going forward, at least in the voice business?
Absolutely, I think there's some risk that may happen, but it's not going to happen immediately, as you may be suggesting, because by and large, the price-sensitive customers are not the ones who are at that 150 or 200 rupee ARPU level that it may make sense for them to make that sort of commitment on a monthly basis. Those are the users who are below the average ARPU level, and therefore they're going to be well below 120 rupee levels in terms of their consumption. But certainly, those operators today who are smaller in terms of their subscriber base and who are primarily voice players are going to be the worst hit over time. But it's going to take a little bit of time because, as one of the other panelists said earlier, in terms of 4G install base for smartphones, and it's not just smartphones, but also we have to look at VoLT capable smartphones to be able to operate on the Reliance Jio network. You're talking about well below 5% of the subscriber base today. So that's a pretty substantial entry price for someone who's only going to have, say today, 100 or 120 rupees spend per month. For them to go out and spend 3,000 or 4,000 rupees to upgrade to a smartphone to be able to avail this offer is still a significant step. So I don't expect it to happen overnight, but it will certainly be one of the things to watch over a slightly longer period of time.
I'll come to the handset ecosystem part in just a bit, but Roman Shetty, you want to come in on this as to, Reliance Jio is definitely, its entry is now going to change the, sector and the sector dynamics completely, with small players completely, vanishing from the scene going forward. It will probably just be the big three and maybe Reliance Jio. Going forward, it will probably just be the big three and maybe Reliance Jio.
Yes, so I think obviously the smaller players are going to find it extremely difficult. There's no doubt about that, because I think this is also a game of sustenance. I think Jio, the whole strategy is around customer acquisition, because in India, without a critical mass of subscribers, it would be difficult at the end of the day to have a good business value proposition. So I think the smaller players will struggle. But I think one thing is important. In India, still you have 2G sites being rolled out, 3G being rolled out, and 4G. So there are still parts which are predominantly pure voice, and it's not that tomorrow they're going to change straight away to this. So I think that's not going to happen. But yes, broadly, from a consolidation, I think this is something that will at least force operators to consolidate, especially the smaller ones, because they may not have the staying power to go on till the next year and a half or a year later with the freebies and with all of that which is being offered.
Right. Of course, we'll have to wait out as to who really has the stomach to digest the massive losses that telecom sector entails. But TV, let me come to you in terms of the handset ecosystem. If you really took a look at the numbers, there are just about 30 million odd handsets which are 4G enabled. The rest are just 2G and 3G phones. So whatever we're really talking about in terms of data play, it's all futuristic. Right now, it's about 2G, 3G handsets. That cannot change over time. So Rel Jio impact may just be overstated right now, because at the end of the day, it's about It's about not having the right handset ecosystem. TV?
Yes, I think that's right, the point you made, but I would like to add one or two perspectives on this, which have probably not been talked about and which are relevant here. See, let's not be complacent about only 5% being affected and all that. The fact is, every telco knows that he gets 80% of his revenues from 20% of the subscribers. And if you heard Mr. Ambani today, he made some very, very interesting remarks about how that thrust is going to be on enterprise, etc. See, this class of subscribers who are the upper end, who are contributing most of the revenues to the telcos, they would easily change. There is no such thing as loyalty. If I'm an enterprise and I have a small, medium, large enterprise, I would look at my bottom line. If I'm going to get a telco tariff package which is going to give me significant benefits in the operation, I would go for it. So that's the thing to watch out for. And one has to remember also that in this stage of the game, there is going to be a huge turmoil right now. It is not just voice being free. Voice being free is a given. The point is, how do you drive the data usage up to make up for the voice revenue gone? And for that you need networks which are capable of handling that. That's the part which is going to put pressure on the incumbents, because you need the type of network which is IP friendly, which is packet based, more than circuit based. These are the things which are going to give a lot of challenges in the short term, but I think the boys involved are big enough. In the near mid-term, things would stabilize, you'd have a better state of play, but surely there is going to be a lot of effect of what I said just now.
Right.
And we will have full forces of competition working, which is ultimately to the benefit for all. That's what I see.
Right. Nitin Soni, let me bring you in the discussion in terms of, what Mukesh Ambani talked about in terms of targets. 100 million customers is what he's targeting for. There's no time frame, but obviously he's looking at it, in the shortest possible time frame. But, given the handset ecosystem challenges, given the fact that, only 5% of users are really 4G users, so to say, how ambitious are these numbers according to you? How ambitious are these targets?
Yeah, I think quite ambitious. Reaching to 100 million kind of subscribers will take them, at least 2 years. It's not going to be easy for them to get customers as close to 100 million, because one, there is a lack of ecosystem for the 4G handsets. And secondly, on the 499 plan, they will be targeting mostly those users who are based in metropolitan cities. And when those subscribers will go for a mobile number portability for their existing incumbent to churn over to Jio, the incumbents will try to retain those by offering, some kind of a promotion or some kind of a discounts to their existing tariffs. So it won't be easy for Jio to poach those customers in the Class A circles or in the metros on these packages, because yes, they are cheaper, 20-25% from the incumbents, but incumbents would also retaliate to retain their subscriber base.
Right. In fact, we just have time for one question which I really want to pose to all panelists on the show. Indian Telecom, of course, is going to see a reset, and that reset is going to happen fairly soon. My question that I want from all panelists answered is, where do you see Indian Telecom 2 years from now, after 8 quarters? Where do you see, the incumbents? Where do you see some of the smaller folks? Let's start with Bromal Shetty.
See, like I mentioned, I think the smaller folks probably may not be there. There may not be space more than 5 or 6 in India. So I think the smaller ones post 2 years may not be there. But what I really see is I see data revenues going significantly up, and a lot more content. I think today it's just been providing voice and data services, but a lot more content and a lot more applications being developed, which would help the overall economy in general, but even the telcos as such, and more business models which are data-led business models across corporates. will also boom up. So I think yes, in 2 years, probably more stable than what it is, because this disruption is going to be there for 12 to 18 months. But after 24 months, hopefully there will be much more. There will be more stability, more data-led business models, and probably lesser number of operators.
Kunal Bajaj, very quickly, how much of market cap erosion do you see in the next 8 quarters for Indian Telecom?
Market cap erosion is difficult to estimate, but I think I'll agree with Romal that things are going to be extremely different. Like we saw in Monsoon Hungama, we saw a completely new age of voice emerging after that. I think we're going to see a brand new age of data emerging. Data devices, in terms of 4G devices, are going to really pick up sales, but I think the most important thing that's going to happen is the incumbents are going to be forced to transform their business model and basically segment their customers into data-oriented for the high-end guys and voice-oriented for the low-end. So I don't see voice revenues completely disappearing, but there will be this stratification and gradient that has to take place in the marketplace, forcing the customers to, the operators to progress.
TV, very quickly, do you think content will be the big differentiator in 2 years from now for Indian Telecom?
Absolutely. 2 years from now, content data will be the big differentiator, and I see 2 years from now, I see just about 4 players. With great difficulty, maybe a 5th one, but I don't think you will see more than that. And that's really the HHI level at last appearing, which is the optimum for competition and benefits to the economy. I see a much healthier industry due to that consolidation which was wanted. I don't know about market cap erosion and all that. I don't think I would hazard a guess on that. But definitely data tariffs would have consolidated. It would not be all that low, what you see today. You will have a decent ARPU, a healthier industry in 2 years from now. That's what I see.
Nitin Soni, very quickly, where do you see Indian Telecom, 8 quarters from now? Do you see, NPAs beginning to come up? Do you see some, losses coming up on the balance sheets? How do you see the sector in 2 years from now? Very quickly.
I think 4 or 5 players, Aircel, Tata, Telenor and Arcom, they will do either M&A or some activities, they'll consolidate. I think that the business models will be mostly data-driven, bucket-like plans, free voice, free SMS. The telcos will only charge for data. And the telcos who innovate and comes up with more innovative and different tariff plans that offer more content and entertainment will be the likely leaders in the market.
Right. With that, we've completely timed out on this show. Nitin Soni, Kunal Bajaj, Romal Shetty, TV Ramachandran, many thanks for breaking this down for us. Reliance Jio, of course, has made a disruptive entry in Indian Telecom. Remains to be seen how disruptive will it really be, and is there more to those numbers that are really being shared right now by the company. With that, it's a wrap from my end. Thanks so much for watching.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.